Hello and welcome to Eye on Ocean County. I'm Laura Jones, and our guest this half hour is Eugene Foley. He is a music industry consultant, and it's so good to have you here.
Thank you, Laura. It's great to be here.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. When you say you're a consultant, what exactly does that mean?
We help people with the music career, everything from getting their press kits together and their songs, building their creative plan, their marketing plan, radio and publicity, and just guiding their careers, basically from the garage to hopefully someday the big stage.
You know, so many people, they like to sing. They sing in the shower. A lot of people think that they're destined for great things, but not so much necessarily.
Exactly. It's nice for a hobby, but to get to the level of really being a professional, earning a good living, that's, might be one in several thousand that could pull that off.
I know a lot of people watch American Idol. We're going to get more into that later on in the show, but you have someone like Simon who's there judging people and, talking about it, talking about their talent. Can you talk to artistic development and how when you hear somebody, they might be rough around the edges. How do you know when you have somebody who's really, truly talented on your hands?
I think a lot of it is just instinct. It's like everyone has their skill, and I've always had a good ear for a song. So I think a lot of it is just instinctual, and also just keeping up with the trends of the industry. What are radio stations playing? What style of music are record companies embracing at that moment? What are journalists favoring? And then trying to find someone that fits into that mode instead of trying to buck the system, try to just go with the flow.
Is it is it an art, would you say? Finding that talent?
I think so, because there's a lot of people who think they could do it and they can't. And we've been in business since 1989, so it's over 20 years of consistently getting it right, pitting the right people, the right songs, the right producer. It's a lot of team building.
You have a book, Artistic Development. Tell us a little bit about what's in the book. What inspired you to write it?
Well, we get about 300 to 400 CDs every month from aspiring artists who send it in for a free evaluation, where I give them some advice on their strengths and their weaknesses and what they could do to improve. And by getting those packages every month, I'm seeing like the same handfuls of mistakes over and over and over from people. And I'm thinking, they're spending all this money to record and press and publicists and all these other things. If they only had some guidance before they did that, they could go from being a 7 to a 9 or a 3 to a 6 or whatever their destiny is for their, their maximum abilities. So that's really what kind of gave me the idea. There was no other books on the market that talked about today.
So you actually help people navigate through the music industry. What are some of the things that people, of course we want you to buy the book, but give us some tips about how you help people, guide people through the industry. People may not, they may know that they have someone talented in their family on their hands, but what do you do with it?
Right. Well, starting just getting the songs are the most important thing. Having hit songs, maybe whittling 30 of your catalog down to your best 10. Then getting the other stuff, the photography, the graphic design, all the packaging, because that's very important in marketing. Then it's getting it out to the consumers, getting it out to radio and press and TV and placing songs in movies and eventually building enough of a buzz that you can approach record companies and booking agents and managers and publishers and say, hey, listen, we've achieved this, this, and this on our own. And then you hope that they want to take it to the next level.
What if somebody just simply has a good voice and they're not necessarily a composer or a writer or have any original songs? What advice would you give them?
That person would probably have to go to a place like BMI or ASCAP, a Performing Rights Society, and get songs from their catalog, see which ones they would like to record, work out the licensing fees, and then they would have to find musicians and a producer to bring those songs to life where they could sing it. Then they could come to somebody like me for the help of the marketing and the publicity and taking it from the garage, again, like we said, to the next level.
What are your thoughts about the industry overall, where it is right now?
The big labels are struggling because they fought for so long against the download of music, and they just kept being like a dinosaur and hiding their head in the sand. This was going to go away, and it didn't. And millions of people are getting their songs illegally, sadly, or paying for it. Now you have a company like Apple that's making billions of dollars a year from music, and they're not even a record company, they're a computer company. Now the labels are like, we better catch up, but the horse is out of the barn at this point. So they're struggling, and it's a great time for the smaller labels who don't have all that red tape to be able to say, hey, we don't have to sell 5 million records to break even. We could sell 30,000 from each of our artists and have a nice living.
So a big label versus an independent label, what's the difference when you're starting out?
I mean, obviously a bigger label, they're going to have more money to put into you, they're going to have more connections, more clout. But it's also much more difficult to get their attention.
And they might also drop you.
Exactly. As we know, the one-hit wonders, when those tides start turning, they have no problem with sending to that certified letter saying you're gone. Where an indie label, they're there. It's more like old school, where they'll take take you under their wing, and they'll develop you and put you on the road and get the press and get the radio and have more patience. They don't expect you to go from 0 to 60 overnight. Where a label, they're breathing right down your neck.
All right, people in this area, we're lucky because we're near New York, we're near Philadelphia, but, you know, say you're young, or if you don't live near a major city and you're just, you know, down here and visiting and you caught the show, what if you don't live near a big city? Is that really a barrier these days?
A little bit. I think you need to be near some decent-sized city. It doesn't have to be in New York or in LA or Chicago, but even if it's a Tulsa or a Miami or Houston or a Detroit or somewhere, you know, maybe a top 75 market even. If you could own that market where you're getting pressed, you're packing the clubs, you're selling units, you're getting, you know, great radio airplay, the labels will take notice of that. They don't expect everyone to, you know, I've seen people in the middle of Kansas and Nevada and rural places, but if they own that town, the labels will notice.
So you have talked about, you know, going from the garage to the big stage. That's not going to happen for everybody. I mean, it really is the rare case.
Right.
What all has to come together for that to happen?
The rare case, that's mainly, you know, first thing is the talent. They have to be someone who just really just born to do this. Then I think they need to have realistic expectations, and they have to have a work ethic. I mean, I've met people in all the years that are tremendous talents, but they're lazy. They just think, you know, Mr. Sony's going to ring their doorbell and back up the truck of money, and they're waiting for the phone to ring. My most successful clients are the ones who have talent and tremendous drive. They're always playing, writing, on the internet, doing something for their career.
Do you think that if you've reached a certain age in the music industry, you just are not going to be able to break in? Say you're over 30 and you have just discovered this talent or reinventing yourself.
As far as the mainstream, really big success, it's tough. Certain styles are not so age worrisome, like, you know, blues, jazz, classical. But certainly the pop, the rock, the R&B, the rap, that's definitely a young person's game. You start even breaking the 25 mark, the majors start getting nervous.
How young is too young to get into the music industry? I mean, because you see some young talent out there, and let's see, I'll date myself. Who was it, Tiffany?
Yep.
And, you know, by the time she's
Debbie
21.
Gibson.
Debbie Gibson,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
That's what she, yeah.
Yep.
Debbie Gibson, by the time, you know, she's 21, she's a has-been, and people say, oh, they got in too young, were overexposed, they weren't managed properly.
Right. I think that for people who have the talent to really go to the home run level of the career, I would say 18 to 24, I think that's like the prime time years of your life. Doesn't mean you can't start at 15 or 16, developing your chops, performing, getting better at your skill, writing better, performing, all those things over and over and over until you get better. But probably 18 to 24 is that's the window for really the big time. If you don't make it out of that, it's probably not happening.
And I don't think a lot of people realize the hard work that goes into it to be a success. You know, they see the flashes on entertainment shows or their picture on the front of a magazine for the people who have made it. And, you know, those who really make it and continue to, not just the one-hit wonders, they have to put in serious time, effort,
It's amazing.
energy.
You're away from your family all the time. Those early stages, constantly on the road. And in those early days, until you're really making big money, you're lucky you have a van and a U-Haul trailer you're towing, staying in crappy motels because that's all the label will budget you.
And again, they think that even though you might have a big name, it's a life of glamour, 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 and it really isn't. Even for some popular bands out there.
Absolutely. There's people I know that are major label artists that when they're doing their radio promo tours, they get like a rental car, a gas credit card. Their hotels are booked, and they go out and they get their $40 a day meal money, and they're eating Burger King and running around city to city. There is no glory.
But they have to put in the hours. They have to put it in order to get that.
They're paying their dues.
And another thing that do you let people know it's okay if you just are an entertainer at the local level? I mean, you can build a successful career that way. You don't have to be, you know, Britney Spears or, you know, whatever the big name is at the time. I don't even know the big name right now. It's just how out of it I am.
Right. No, I think it's just being honest with people and explaining and most people appreciate the honesty when you tell them that. I think, you know, right now you're a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. You could probably be a 7 if you do this, this, and this. Most people just appreciate the honesty and say, all right, maybe I'm not going to sell out giant stadiums someday, but if I could still play some gigs and move some units and have some fun, they're okay with that.
Weddings,
yeah, exactly.
Watch a few people, you know, dance with their husband or wife for the first time. It's all good.
Then you get the occasional one who gets mad and they're like, oh, what do you know? And I'm going to be big and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I just hope you had a good education or a good day job or something.
Exactly. All right, well, we're going to talk about technology and how that is changing the music industry as we continue here on Eye on Ocean County. Our guest this half hour is Eugene Foley, music industry consultant. Stay with us.